See this beauty, it's all in one, man. What do you want?
Of being a leader. The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
That wasn't him.
We, the people.
If you sing about love, you sing to your gospel.
Abo Mama Miriam Makeba.
Hey Charles, Silver, and greetings to the audience out across the world.
Someone had to need to know when I'm going to wash dishes.
It doesn't matter what is your background or what is your status at the moment. There is nobody who knows you than yourself.
A cartoon phone in the building. Best global studio. Yo, bro.
Angazi noma ngizokhuluma noma ngikhuluma isingisi. And if I'm going to speak English, I have to give you an invoice because I've paid to learn English. But isiZulu ngisifunda mahhala.
So I'm giving you the memory, Diva.
No, thank you, Banika. Sure. Hopefully, my bark is as good as my bite.
All the countries around Africa, everybody was black. Even in America, the blacks, they fought for freedom,
Yes.
but I'm not even there now. Now we need to be saved from ourselves, because as a nation, as a black nation, I see a lot of anger issues from the brothers. The women are being killed, the children are being killed, murdered, raped. They even raped their grandma.
I'll actually have to start right there.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
I like that one.
Myself acting, and it is more strength and more effort.
More TV shows.
And as the African people.
But here we are self-made hustlers.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
Around the world.
Next one though.
Music against violence.
There's a queen in every woman. That was such a powerful message that.
Oh my god. Like, I don't want you guys to miss out on this one.
See this beauty, it's all in one, man. What do you want?
Of being a leader. The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
That wasn't him.
We, the people.
If you sing about love, you sing to your gospel.
Abo Mama Miriam Makeba.
Hey Charles, Silver, and greetings to the audience out across the world.
Someone had to need to know when I'm going to wash dishes.
It doesn't matter what is your background or what is your status at the moment. There is nobody who knows you than yourself.
A cartoon phone in the building. Best global studio. Yo, bro.
Angazi noma noma ngikhuluma isingisi. And if I'm going to speak English, I have to give you an invoice because I've paid to learn English. But isiZulu ngisifunda mahhala.
So I'm giving you the memory, Diva.
No, thank you, Banika. Sure. Hopefully, my bark is
is as good as my bite.
All the countries around Africa, everybody was black. Even in America, the blacks, they fought for freedom,
Yes.
but I'm not even there now. Now we need to be saved from ourselves, because as a nation, as a black nation, I see a lot of anger issues from the brothers. The women are being killed, the children are being killed, murdered, raped. They even raped their grandmother.
I'll actually have to start right there.
Ay, 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 Nami.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
I like that one. I like-
myself acting and it will be more strength and more effort.
More TV shows.
The African people.
But here we are self-made hustlers.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
around the world.
It's London.
Music against violence.
Jazz, pop.
There's a queen in every woman. That was such a powerful message that.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, I don't want you guys to miss out on this one.
Ngimthandele. Ngimthandele. See this beauty, it's all in one, man. What do you want?
Of being a leader. The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
I.
That wasn't him.
We, the people.
If you sing about love, music because
Abo, Mama Miriam, Eva.
Hey, Charles, Silver Boy, and greetings to the audience out across the world.
someone had to know what I'm going to wash dishes.
It doesn't matter what is your background or what is your status at the moment. There is nobody who knows you than yourself.
Hey, Carter Ford in the building. Best Global Studio. Yo, bro.
Angazi noma ngikhuluma isingisi. And if I'm going to speak English, I have to give you an invoice because I've paid to learn English. But isiZulu ngisifunda mahhala.
So I'm giving you the name Rediva. Rediva.
Thank you, Banuka. Sure.
Hopefully, my bark is as good as my bite.
All the countries around Africa, everybody was black. Even in America, the blacks, they fought for freedom,
Yes.
but I'm not even there now. Now we need to be saved from ourselves, because as a nation, as a black nation, I see a lot of anger issues from the brothers. The women are being killed, the children are being killed, murdered, raped. They even raped their grandmother.
I'll actually have to start right there.
Ay, 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 Nami.
number one.
Ay, 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 ay. Masikhuluma nawo mfana batshisa kama kanjani lungane kwalelo aka umfana kaShokolate Kid Leo. Welcome to the Global Sunday Show. Well, you know what? I think I should give Matia a chance to, do an introduction. Did you work on your introduction yet?
No.
What are you talking about?
I can do it. I tried in English. It was too fast for me. I tried in Croatian. It was too fast for me. I don't know. I might do something like opposite of yours, and then it will be really slow.
That's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. I mean, come on. As we human beings, we are unique.
That's true. That's true.
So mine is there's a purpose behind my my introduction in which I didn't know about it until somebody asked me about it. I was like, it goes very fast and it's gonna take forever for people to know what I say. They're gonna keep listening and listening. And then it takes them forever to know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Welcome to the Global Sunday Show. My name is Lungani Kwala, and right next to me I have Matia. And as always, real people, real talk, real time. Yes, it's another day. It's gonna be fun. We have a special guest that we're gonna be talking to, but we also have some special people that are going to be joining us. We're on the panel.
Wow.
They're going to be joining us in the studio. So this weekend is Easter weekend, right?
Yeah, today.
I think we should talk about that a little bit.
A little bit. Just a little.
Yeah. Because there's, there are a lot of things that I do not understand. And I want to understand.
Okay.
I have a lot of questions and I'm looking forward to know what are you like, especially for you, what's your plans for this weekend?
I'm sure that Mr. Laden will have answers to all of your questions.
He always have answers for everybody. All right, so welcome to the Global Sunday Show. Welcome if you're watching on YouTube. Welcome if you're watching on Facebook. Welcome if you're watching on Diverse TV. Welcome if you're watching on the Global Sunday Show and Instagram. We're gonna be live in a few minutes, and we might be joined by other people on the panel while we're still waiting. But with that said, I'm just gonna introduce Mr. Laden on the panel. Mr. Laden, welcome to the Global Sunday Show.
Thank you so much. I was trying to figure out how I could get a stone and put it in front of the camera and then push it to the side and come out like on Easter, like Jesus did. But I do that.
Mr. Laden, people are not allowed to have fun at work. What are you doing?
Oh, this isn't work. When I was young, I misbehaved. This is my sentence.
Oh. How are you doing, Mr. Laden? I'm just going to ask you both, how was your week before we introduce our guest for today? And if you're watching at home right now, just to let you know, two more guests that might, not guests, but panelists that might be joining us, to... What was the word? I had the word in Zulu, like ukusonta sonta. Do you remember the episode?
Yeah.
Mr. Laden, do you remember that episode where Tilo was on the panel and I was looking for the term for, when you're asking a person a lot of questions until like they cannot answer anymore. And in Zulu, we call that ukusonta sonta, like making you dry. We drain you, with questions. So
I don't know. In America, everybody just talks about themselves all the time, so nobody gets a chance to ask questions. So,
wow. Okay. Before Mr. Laden get attacked, let's move on.
Come at me, guys out there.
So, how was your week, Matia? How did you get where you are today? What happened?
Really, really long week because we are preparing to go to competition. Well, it's not competition, but I always forget the English word for it. Let's just say performance, yeah. In Riga, Latvia, that we're gonna be week after the next week. So it was a lot of hours in the class practicing over and over and over and over again. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Wow, nice. Are you ready for it?
I was born ready.
Oh, okay. All right, all right. You ready for Riga?
Yes.
Okay, absolutely. Mr. Ladin, how was your week?
My week was a bit difficult. The I'm going to talk about it in the news segment a little bit. There's been I have a friend. Here's somebody new on the panel back behind me, over that side.
Send them to the studio.
Will do. Okay, but no, I started off my week. I had some meetings at a university, and in the university was in a town, and I got an airplane ticket to that town, but I went to that town in the wrong state because I didn't know there were two of the same name 200 miles away. So it started off a very confusing week, and then when I returned on Tuesday, I was actually broadcasting from Bloomington last week. But when I returned Tuesday, the next day we had a situation with a refugee. So it's been a very stressful week, but not stressful like busy. I'm always busy, but stressful just being concerned and being worried and trying to figure out how I can do my part to the most possible to help this refugees and all refugees. And so my mind has been in that this week, like, what can I do differently, or what can I do more to help more? Because there's so many things going on in the world that, and I know that, I have a certain amount of influence and I want to use it to the maximum possible. So it's been sort of like a week of praying and contemplating and thinking and trying to find a more positive, powerful, effective way forward. So and there's nothing better than the resurrection and the concept of the resurrection of Easter, which is today, to make us all realize that we can turn the corner, we can move the stone out of the way, we can find a better way forward. So that's sort of where I am coming into this broadcast today. So it's a very, very good thing that we have the guest that we have, because that will restore balance to the universe from my down place. But anyway, we will reveal that special person very soon. You, Lungani, how was your week?
Wise words over there, Mr. Ladin. We're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to introduce our guest. As always, Mr. Ladin is going to introduce our guest, and we're going to start having our talk. We always have a special guest here on the Global Sunday Show, and if you are watching right now, you are going to get a direction. Each and every time we have a segment or we have a show on the Global Sunday Show, there is a life that get turned around, that changes, that get a direction. There are a lot of people who are lost out there and they're looking for light. And each and every time we're hosting a guest on the Global Sunday Show, there's an inspiration, there is experience that's going to be shared with the public. So I'm looking forward to talk to our guest for today. We're going to take a short break, and we have some panelists that's going to join us today, which is really going to be fun. We see how we're going to work that out. It's going to be really fun. So if you're watching at home, you're watching the Global Sunday Show with Lungani. We're going to take a short break. Do not go anywhere. When we come back, we are going to introduce our special guest for today. Listen to this. AKA Umfanaga Chocolate. We'll be right back. Cheers.
sound of a 19-year-old kid.
I like that one.
Myself acting and it is more strength and more effort.
More TV shows.
The African people.
But here we are self-made hustlers.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
Around the world.
It's Rwanda.
Music against violence.
There's a queen in every woman. That was such a powerful message that.
Oh my God. Like, I don't want you guys to miss out on this one.
Intadeji. See this beauty? It's all in one, man. What do you want?
Being a leader. The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
Alright.
That wasn't him.
We, the people.
If you sing about love, you sing to the gospel.
Abo, Mama Miriam, Eva.
Hey, Charles, Zulu boy, and greetings to the audience out across the world.
I mean, someone had to need to know when I'm going to wash the shoes.
It doesn't matter what is your background or what is your status at the moment. There is nobody who knows you than yourself.
Hey, Carter Ford in the building. Best Global Studio. Yo, bro.
And if I'm going to speak English, I have to give you an invoice because I've paid to learn English.
So I'm giving you the name Rediva. Rediva.
No, thank you, my nigga. Sure.
Hopefully, my bark is as good as my bite.
All the countries around Africa, everybody was black. Even in America, the blacks, they fought for freedom.
Yes.
But I'm not even there now. Now we need to be saved from ourselves, because as a nation, as a black nation, I see a lot of anger issues from the brothers. The women are being killed, the children are being killed, murdered, raped. They even raped their grandma.
I'll actually have to start right there.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
I like that one.
Myself acting and it is more strength and more effort.
More TV shows.
The African people.
But here we are self-made hustlers.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
Around the world.
It's Rwanda.
Music against violence.
There's a queen in every woman. That was such a powerful message that.
Oh my God. Like, I don't want you guys to miss out on this one.
Intadeji. See this beauty? It's all in one, man. What do you want?
Being a leader. The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
Alright.
That wasn't him.
We, the people.
If you sing about love, you sing to the gospel.
Abo, Mama Miriam, Eva.
Hey, Charles, Zulu boy, and greetings to the audience out across the world.
I mean, someone had to need to know when I'm going to wash the shoes.
It doesn't matter what is your background or what is your status at the moment. There is nobody who knows you than yourself.
Hey, Carter Ford in the building. Best Global Studio. Yo, bro.
Angazi noma ngizokhuluma noma ngikhuluma isingisi. And if I'm going to speak English, I have to give you an invoice because I've paid to learn English. But isiZulu ngisifunda mahhala.
So I'm giving you the name Rediva. Rediva.
Thank you, Manika. Sure.
Hopefully, my bark is as good as my bite.
All the countries around Africa, everybody was black. Even in America, the blacks, they fought for freedom,
Yes.
but I'm not even there now. Now we need to be saved from ourselves, because as a nation, as a black nation, I see a lot of anger issues from the brothers. The women are being killed, the children are being killed, murdered, raped. They even raped their grandma.
I'll actually have to start right there. The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
I like that one.
Myself acting and it is more strength and more effort.
More TV shows.
The African people.
But here we are self-made hustlers.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
Around the world.
Yes, Rwanda.
Music against violence.
There's a queen in every woman. That was such a powerful message that.
Oh my God. Like, I don't want you guys to miss out on this one.
Ngithadeji. See this beauty, it's all in one, man. What do you want?
Of being a leader.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
Alright.
That wasn't him.
We, the people.
You sing about love, you sing to your gospel.
Abo, Mama Miriam, Eva.
Hey, Zulu boy, and greetings to the audience out across the world.
I mean, someone had to know what I record to wash the shoes.
It doesn't matter what is your background or what is your status at the moment. There is nobody who knows you than yourself.
Hey, Carter.
Diverse Global Studios, Africa #1.
Welcome back to the Global Sunday. And boy, did things change while you were watching that commercial. All right, so I'm going to go all around here and I'm going to introduce. First of all, starting in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, we have Audrey Rusangwa from Burundi, Africa. Welcome, Audrey. Next to me here, we have the director, hair director, Daniel. Up in the upper left corner, we have David Pike from Australia. And then below him, but not in any kind of meaningful way below, is Matija from Croatia. So we've got the whole team here. And then there's the bearded guy over in the other corner at the bottom. Now, I just want to say that when Shakespeare first wrote his plays, there are all of these accounts from people's diaries and things about the first thing that happened after a new play was shown is everybody was imitating the comedy and doing all of the lines and the pratfalls of the comedic characters. This is something that you have to really think about as a human being. Life is hard. We have to work hard. We have to eat not just once a day. We have to eat a couple of times a day. We've got to work. We've got to work for the man, whoever that man is. I wish he'd man. It'll be a woman someday, but whoever that man is, he makes us all work our butts off. And at the same time, we have family. We have concerns, we have diseases that happen, we have situations, all this stuff going on every single minute of every day for every person ever born. And the thing that saves us, the thing that makes us be able to go forward is having a sense of humor and being able to laugh. So our guest today is one of those progenitors of society, one of those saviors of our stressed out asses in this world. And it is Kelsey, the comedian. Welcome, Kelsey.
Thanks, everyone. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, we have a system that has sort of evolved over time because we're global and people are from all over the place. What we found is that where you come from really shapes you. I mean, it really, really makes a difference. Okay. Now, from what I understand, you grew up in Arizona. And how did that shape you as a person and the artist you are today?
Definitely. Yeah, I grew up here in Prescott, Arizona. I've lived all around Arizona. I've lived other places as well. But growing up here in Prescott was pretty great. I mean, I definitely came from a poor family, a struggling family. What I was fortunate to have, I think, and what Arizona and Prescott has great going for it is the beauty, the landscape, the natural spaces. And I was fortunate enough to grow up at Goldwater Lake, actually. My mom was one of the rangers there for a few years. So I pretty much had Goldwater Lake as my backyard. So I would, as a kid, my mom gave me and my brother pretty free reign, and we just were, goofing off in the woods all the time and building forts, stuff like that. But yeah, I spent a lot of time in Sedona. I go out a lot on the hiking trails, and so that connection to nature and being able to get away from the stress of everyday life and work and even comedy, that's had a huge impact on me. And I think my patience, my maturity, and being able to see life in more of a majestic sense, I guess you would say.
Yeah, certainly this area is majestic. And, one of the hard things about being here during COVID is that, for all of you out there around the world, if you ever come to Prescott, there is this magnetic force that draws you outside, out into nature. It is spectacularly beautiful, and it's constantly changing. It's not a static landscape. It's like watching a kaleidoscope. And during COVID, it was so hard to stay inside. I mean, it was just really, really hard. Now, we're lucky because we have a couple acres, so we could go and walk around the property and I made a bunch of friends, the javelinas, because
they're my buddies too.
They didn't care if we had a mask on, if we coughed, not into our elbows. So they're my big buddies now. But yeah, it's beautiful here. I hope everybody watching this show will sometime come to Prescott.
Visit Prescott for sure.
Yeah. Guys, just jump in.
Yeah, we've been incarnate with the javelina experience. We had our bin completely pushed over our driveway, but I saw one today, so now I know what a javelina is. I thought it was something off a pizza at one point. So I'm from Australia, so that means we have a different, probably a bit of dryness in our humour. I know the American humour is a bit wetter, and I know the Irish humour is just absolutely bizarre. So I don't know what your heritage is, Kesley. Do you know what it is, or has it been American for 400 years or something?
Yeah, well, as you can see, I definitely got some Irish in me with the beard. My mom's side is Irish and European, German, English, and on my dad's side, my last name is Knutson, and it's very Norwegian, Scandinavian. So I've got the. I like to think I have a Viking sense of adventure in me. So.
Vikings got as far as Ireland, did some bad things. But you got the red beard, so you could be in the front of the ship as well. So here's the question: when and how did you figure out that comedy was and still is your calling?
That's definitely an interesting question. I think, and I've talked to a lot of other comedians about this, and I think it, for a lot of us who pursue it throughout life and pursue it professionally, it happens at a pretty young age. For me, I remember watching my first stand-up comedy special on Comedy Central back before we had Netflix, Hulu, all of that stuff. We had, one place for stand-up comedy, and that was Comedy Central on cable. But I begged my mom to let me watch it. I was really young, probably 9, 10 years old. And I had an affinity for it. So I think in some senses it's akin to how we stumble into opportunities in life. I've done a lot of performance art, theater, film production, but I've always come back to the art of humor, I guess, and it's something I feel at this point in my life that I can't live without. So it's something that I will honestly pursue until it's over, I think. So.
Awesome.
I'd like to take a teeny detour here. You talked about the first awareness you had of comedy was on that. I'd like to ask the members of the panel, what was your first awareness of comedy? For me, I was about 7 years old. My father was a political scientist, and he was involved in politics and rights, and he was one of the people that put together, the whole, it became civil rights. It was called Fair Housing, Equal Opportunity. And so he was always very serious with very serious friends. And then one day he got in this heated discussion with some of his colleagues that sit over at our house about somebody named Lenny Bruce. And Lenny Bruce had just been arrested for making a joke. And they were all talking about, how can you arrest somebody for making a joke, And they talked about getting him on one word that he said, and I don't remember what it was. I was 7. And so then I went to the library and I looked up Lenny Bruce, and I checked out a book that was the autobiography of Lenny Bruce. And the first sentence of that autobiography I cannot say online, even on cable, and it's hysterically funny. But the gist of it was about being a young boy and looking at the pictures in the National Geographic and committing Harry Carey double time. But there was more to it that I can't say. And I thought that was hysterical. I didn't even know what it was, but just the way the words came. I had seen National Geographic, and I thought, why would you kill yourself because of National Geographic? But it was so funny just to read those words as a 7-year-old. So, but I'd like to see from everybody, what was your first experience with comedy, that you were aware of comedy as a thing? Daniel, you want to start them off?
Maybe. I think it must have been, maybe it had to have been, my dad was a preacher, and of course he's always dealing with very serious topics in his sermons, and he had a way of grabbing people's attention with a joke to keep you, to keep you focused. and making it fun. And then he would also bring, of course, I started out doing comedy magic, and he would bring magicians into the church, who were traveling through that were friends of the family. And so I ended up putting those together, just doing. And honestly, I think the first time outside of that environment that I really started thinking about what became, I would say my character as a magician was actually watching Pink Panther, Inspector Clouseau, and his ineptitude, and I thought it was hilarious and should be a magic show.
An inept magician.
Yes.
Well, for me, I'm still young, but when I was younger, I think 10 years old, my mom was obsessed with The Ellen Show. So every weekend when she would cook, we would watch the episode of The Ellen. And at first, I didn't find her particularly funny, but as I kind of started to grow up and then understand certain things more, I started laughing and actually enjoying it with my mom every weekend. So yeah, that's for me.
You mean Ellen DeGeneres, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she started off doing stand-up and for a few years before she got really big. So she's probably one of the most prolific comedians, female comedians, for sure. So.
All right, I know we have a lot of questions to ask, and I'm just gonna open it. You haven't said anything. I'm sure you have a question for Kelsey.
Oh, good, thank you. That was really impressed to hear the discussions. I'm really impressed by the journey of our special guest, and I know what you are today depends on what you decided yesterday, and I know what you are deciding now will make your future. So my question is, that everything where you are today, it depends on what you saw in your environment, in your communities, and these made the decisions that you have been taking.
Yeah.
So my question is, what pushed you to start taking comedy as a professional career?
Kind of like I said, I think I've always just wanted to do it. It's hard to really pin down. I think a lot of it is just I've connected with humor in all parts of my life. It's definitely the class clown. I definitely got in trouble a lot in school. And I find that a lot of comedians kind of have that backstory. They're disruptive. So I've always, and I think that's to a large degree, it's also my mechanism, my personality mechanism. I, rather than be angry, rather than be upset, I am sarcastic. I look for the joke in the situation. So, but I've been performing professionally for about 10 years. I actually, right out of high school, I moved to New York City to pursue comedy professionally. And in a place like that, or Los Angeles, where comedy is very intense and there's a lot happening, it's difficult to make your mark and stuff. But it's been a long uphill struggle, a lot of work, but I think like anything else, especially in the entertainment industry, it takes just constant perseverance over and over again. I've gone to a lot of many auditions where you wait outside of a comedy club for almost all day and you go up for 30 seconds and then nothing happens, so a lot of, it's like any other job, it's like being a contractor and the job falls through right before you're, so. But my sense of humor is what really led me to feel like I could do this and make something of myself and communicate things that matter to me, so.
Oh yeah, so I'm just gonna clarify here. You guys can just jump in, right? Just ask questions. the purpose of today is to honor Kelsey. As you know, the purpose of the Global Sunday Show is to honor people while they're still alive, to find out more information and dig deeper and know their inspiration, so we can inspire people who are watching at home. So any question that you have, just dive in and go through. So whoever wants to ask a question, just go for it. I can see Mattia is playing with the buttons already. Go for it, Mattia.
I have a question. So what interests me the most is actually how do you begin to get to a professional comedy? Where is the beginning of it?
Good question. How I did it, I mean, like I said, I came from a pretty poor background. I haven't gone to college. I have my GED, but I dropped out of high school. And most of this is because I was so interested in pursuing a career as an entertainer. And so I took a kind of a deviated path. But if anyone wants to do comedy or is interested or thinks it's something that they really want to do, what you need to do is just look for open mics in your community, anywhere close. Open mics are any club, bar, coffee shop that hosts. Usually they're a free event. Actually, in Phoenix, there are some open mics. They pay $25 to $50 for you to perform because they're looking for new talent. So, but how I broke into the scene was in New York City. I started going to open mics. I didn't get a lot of laughs at first. Comedy is it's very tough, believe it or not. It's one thing to think, oh, I'm a funny guy, I could do that, to actually performing in front of 200, 300 people. It's a whole nother level when you're really trying to entertain people and give them something they haven't seen before. So, but yeah, to answer your question, open mics, auditions, look for any resources you can as far as comedy clubs, follow them on social media, email comedy clubs. I've gotten a lot of shows by just emailing clubs and sending my videos and being like, hey, put me on, so you got to really sell yourself.
Yeah.
It's a hard industry for sure. So
I have a question related to social media. Are there any comedians now that have gone mainstream that started doing little funny videos?
I'm definitely
connected. Who are some of those names? I know Nigga Higga was a guy that
yeah, since YouTube and social media has popped up, there have been, probably the most prominent is Bo Berman. I think most of you guys know who Bo Berman is. His COVID special, Inside, he produced during COVID, during the pandemic, in his apartment or whatever, by himself with no audience. It was one of the most ingenious things I've ever seen. If any of you haven't seen Inside on Netflix, after this tonight, if you want to see some very artistic, high level comedy, but Bo Burnham is a great example. He does music comedy. He's a great singer and performer. He has kind of like a musical theater type of level to his performance. But he just started posting his videos of him as a teenager on YouTube playing piano and singing offensive music. So yeah, and I've gotten exposure myself doing that too. I have a YouTube channel with all of my video of past performances on it, and you can that is youtube.com/@Blagzar. And again, my name is Kelsey Knutson. My moniker as a comedian is Blagzar. And if you guys are interested what that means, that could be another question.
So tell us what is Blagzar.
Blagzar, I came up with it as a moniker, as kind of almost like my stage persona. But blag means no kidding, essentially. And it's the dictionary definition of blag is a joke that is extremely silly or nonsensical. And I chose that because that's kind of the style of my comedy. I try not to take myself too seriously. I do a lot of political stuff, social stuff, but at the end of the day, I find that comedy really points out a lot of hypocrisy in things, in society, in people's behavior and psychology. I feel like that's kind of where I'm going with it, is that it's more of a metaphysical sense of what is humor, I guess. So
I'm thinking a bit old school here, Kesley. Long time ago, the Bob Hope sort of stand-up routines, and what I thought as an adult later, I saw it as a kid, but I didn't understand half what he was saying, but he sort of bombarded people. It's like they didn't laugh necessarily at the first 5 of them, but he just had another 50, and he got you cracking up just by bombarding you. So that's leading to my question. What's your strategy then if you create a joke and you think that people will laugh a lot, but then they take a different direction? Do you have a bombardment strategy you can inspire them, or does that throw you off?
When you get into comedy and you do enough performances, eventually you get heckled. I'd say getting heckled is better than bombing. And by bombing, I mean having a horrible show in comedic language, which has happened many times. I haven't met a comedian who that hasn't happened to. It's kind of like just having a really bad day. You know, I mean, we all have really bad days where just everything's going wrong, one thing after the other. And sometimes, especially earlier in my career, I think as I was just starting out, just no laughs, you know, and that's fear-inducing, you know.
With the heckler that you're mentioning, I've only seen live shows in Australia. I haven't seen on the circuit too many, but I know that the comedians in Australia are well armed. So if you did something on stage and a political remark and I heckled you in Australia, they've got so many comebacks, the comedians.
Yeah.
So you should never. The first guy that does that, everyone's watching, and then this comedian on stage is just put down left, right, and centre from their hair colour, what they're wearing. The whole is that what you have to do sometimes? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and what I've really found, the unfortunate thing about heckling is that, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest about it. I think it's just because people want attention, you know. And that might sound pretty harsh, but would you, at any other live performance, you know, be disruptive, or be like if someone barged in right now and was like, "Hey, what's going on?" and started like over talking with our interview, would that be cool? You know. So I understand heckling, but I think what it is a mixture of alcohol and just ego, really. And you know, I don't mean to put people down and say like, oh, like people go out of their way to do that, but usually it's only with hecklers, usually it's the same person in the audience causing an issue. It's not the whole audience turning against you, you know. So but it's a great question, and I've really found to be very relaxed about it, not take it too seriously. I try to listen very carefully and see exactly what they're trying to say. Are they saying I'm not funny? Are they saying they don't like the content of my jokes? But my biggest comeback, I think, is, so as a comedian, that's my job. I get paid to do it. That's how I earn a living and stuff. And so it's funny to me that people will come and criticize my job, but they're like not a coworker, you know. It's like, so I often will, if I get heckled, I'll be like, "What's your job, sir?" And they'll be like, "Oh, I'm a butcher. I work at a meat shop." "Okay, can you murder that cow for me, please?" You know. So I'll try to be witty about it, but I think if you have any advice about hecklers, if you're a comedian, you don't want to alienate your audience. You don't want to be overly aggressive to people. You want to turn them to your side, to your favor. So the best thing to do is work into another joke, or especially don't focus on them. Keep the show moving. Say, okay, sir, like I understand. You and your wife are probably having a bad marriage or something, and move on. Don't, because if you fuel the fire, then they're just gonna keep clapping back at you. So
I don't want to dominate the panel here. I just got me thinking.
It's a great question.
Do you remember the movie actor? He's retired now, Paul Hogan from Australia. He was in a movie called Crocodile Dundee or something. He was auditioning. He watched a very harsh show in Australia called New Faces, and there was a talent quest. And he thought he'd go on the talent quest to get known and try his luck as a comedian. But he studied the judges for about a few months and wrote down a lot of comebacks, because he used to watch the auditioning artists and presenting artists getting basically slashed or sledged. Sledged.
Yeah.
And so what he did was he had everything ready. He was very, very well prepared, which I'm sure all comedians are very well prepared. And of course he did his performance, and of course the judges started climbing into him. And what he took over the show, because as soon as they said something a bit rude, he had a comeback for them, and that's how he got his fame. He basically destroyed their panel.
Yeah.
So it was reverse. Anyway, that's from me.
So I toured a show based on comedy for 14 years, and we had a song in the show. It was a song, singing and stuff, but it was a lot of funny stuff, and it was a drag show, and the Australian audience had a lot of hecklers, man. But we had a song that was called Busy Dick, that's about somebody who is, like prolific in having encounters with others, sexual encounters, and that kind of thing. And so what would happen is whenever somebody would persistently heckle, the band would start, and the first words in that are, "You're the perfect man of my dreams. Everybody would love to take you home to mama." And it goes on, and then it turns into this up-tempo country hoedown. Busy dick, you're a prick, you make me sick, because you're a busy. And then we get them up on stage and get them dancing and everything, and they'd end up being sort of the celebrity of the night, like the most persistent heckler. And that's what we used. But Russell Brand recently, there has been an analysis of his responses to hecklers, 20-minute documentary on just the unbelievable adeptness he's got at dealing with it. And that's another thing you can look up on YouTube, Russell Brand comebacks to hecklers, and it's just like this 20-30 minute.
Check that out.
Yeah, it's great. So comedy is the greatest thing that humans have produced, I believe. And putting a smile on somebody's face is incredible. It's so easy to get a lot of other things on people's faces than smiles, but it's also really hard when it is, so, the world is in a dark place right now. So how did you find yourself in that, having that job to keep people going, to keep people laughing during the hard times, and what has that done to you in your life? How has it changed you as a person?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like that's Lungani, you wrote these questions, right?
Who wrote the
questions?
People.
Who wrote the
I feel like
question?
you wrote this question specifically for me.
It was people, Audrey, and myself.
Oh, okay.
3 of us who wrote the questions.
Yeah. No, this is a good.
But the main man is Audrey.
So we're going about this.
By the way, people is in the studio. Please go ahead.
No, we got a full house here for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a good question for me specifically. I've always used humor as a defense mechanism, I guess. I guess it's a little bit more than that for me. It's more of, and I mean, sometimes it can even be a detriment being a comedian and leaning too much on humor. Sometimes I go for the joke too often, and when I should just enjoy hanging out with people But my comedy brain is it's like it's almost like your reptile brain, but mine is a comedian. You know, it's it's always like, how can this be worked into a joke, or how can I make a bit out of this, just subconsciously. So, but yeah, my sense of humor is really dark. I'll have to admit. I think that we have to really embrace both sides of things. I don't think there really is comedy without sorrow, without tragedy. You mentioned Shakespeare in the intro, and that's a great example. Shakespeare was not only one of the most intelligent and prolific writers of all time, but he was one of the most prolific comedians of all time, if you ask me. A lot of these writers are Mark Twain. They have this sense of wit about them, and there's many degrees to comedy, and I think that one is a joke, and then, but beyond that is wit, in a sense of reacting to your experience in a way that is not only accepting your experience and what's happening to you, but knowing that you can ultimately overcome any type of obstacle that is presented to you. And I think if you look at the world through the lens of comedy, it's very, very helpful. I mean, as a comedian, I'm kind of an introverted person. I'm a private person. But comedy has really helped me break out of my shell and open up to, part of doing this interview, I think, is part of that, is trying new things and better marketing myself and my talents and all of that. So, thank you.
Oh, that's really very, very nice. It is very, very, very nice. Okay, let me congratulate our special guest because it's really a hard work what you are doing. Imagine people are coming, they say that make us laugh. This is really a great challenge. You can make people laugh surprisingly, but imagine people are there already. They challenge you, make us laugh, and you do it at the end. So it's a great work. So we need to honor that. We need to congratulate you while you are here with us. Something else to add is, imagine, I'm going to ask about the opposite of what David was asking you. Imagine you prepare a surprise for the people, and then you get surprised. It's you who gets surprised. The one that prepared the surprise gets surprised. So that is my question. Did you have jokes that you personally thought were not a big deal? Say, let me add this to the agenda, but I know people are not gonna laugh a lot. And then you get surprised, get the audience enjoyed it a lot. Or maybe you improvised to the audience, or you have a comment on something that happening in the real moment, and people enjoyed it more than what you prepared that you thought it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, that's a great question, because I find that that's actually pretty prevalent in stand-up comedy. When you do a lot of shows and you're a touring comedian, mostly you'll go to different clubs and you do the same set every night. So it's kind of like going to see a play. You know, they do the same movements, the same lines and everything. So comedy is very much a performance art, and so you get very used to anticipating how people are going to react. And I've worked on certain jokes that work 100% of the time, all the time, you know. So I usually go with those jokes. But yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely it's a skill and it's a talent, I would say, because it's not just being funny and it's not just telling jokes. That is the ultimate objective, isn't it? To make people laugh, you know, because I love TED Talks, right? And a lot of TED Talks have comedy elements and they're funny and stuff like that. But there's a difference between, I would say, stand-up comedy and a seminar or a talk, in that ultimately, if you're not making your audience laugh, then you're not exactly doing your job right, you know? Because that's what they're there for, you know? You're not going to make them cry, obviously. So, I mean, I could, but I think that would be a different form of art.
Unless they laugh until
they
cry.
Unless they don't laugh, and then they're going to cry. I'll say that. So, but yet,
have you ever done a eulogy?
Ooh, that's, maybe I should consider consider that. That would be interesting. It'd probably have to be for a comedian, a funeral.
What was the comment from David?
Just asked Kesley if he's ever.
Have I done a eulogy?
Oh wow.
No, I've only pretty much done, I mean, I've done a lot of weird open mics. You'd be surprised. Some have been at people's houses, you know, but those are often the really fun ones, you know, the more underground stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does, to finish up your question, it does, I have my jokes are very, very pre-written, predetermined, but I will continuously use improvisation. Sometimes I'll go off on a tangent that's completely unprepared just because a heckler said something and it works really well with what but you have to be very, very quick on your feet and stuff. But sometimes I've just said something that wasn't even a joke and the audience erupted in laughter, you know? So it's kind of a mix between the energy of the situation, your jokes, and then like even, again, alcohol. You know, there's a reason why a lot of comedy clubs have a 2-drink minimum, because it lubricates the laughter. Let's just put it that way. So.
I went to a comedy show once with Eddie Izzard, and it was in Poughkeepsie, New York, at the Bardavon Theater, and I loved Eddie Izzard. And then about a quarter of the way in, I realized he's testing jokes on us. He had a pad, and he would like ask it, and then he'd say, "Oh, that okay, that," and it was like, and at first I thought it was part of his shtick, that he was being funny, but he was not there to entertain us. He was there to test his material for a bigger, better venue, and I found that really insulting, but also very funny. What do you say to that?
Was he funny?
Yeah, was it a good show,
it was
or
funny, but then he'd say, "Oh, that really worked well. Okay," and then he'd say another joke, and it wouldn't, and he'd say, "Okay, so I'm not going to use that one in the next show." And like it was like we were his rehearsal audience.
That's funny.
Yeah, I do that at open mics. It's pretty routine for comedians to do that. If it's a smaller open mic and there's 3 people in the room, you know. What are you going for, really? So yeah, I'm lucky that fortunately I don't struggle with comedic writer's block too much. The floodgates have opened, really, and I usually work with my phone. I have, you know, like a notepad, and whenever something I find is remotely funny, I just put it in. So, but yeah, it's especially at these open mics, you'll try stuff you think is, you know, killer, and crickets, you know. So it doesn't. I think, and that's why I think it's important to, you know, recognize that humor is very subjective and stuff. What I think is hilarious, you may think is really stupid. So, and it happens. But usually, you know, if you know what you're doing, you can make a whole completely diverse room of people from completely different backgrounds. That's why comedy is so prolific and great to me, is because it unites all of people under one concept, having fun and laughing. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your problems are that day, how bad your job is, you can't afford to pay rent. I sometimes I can't afford to pay rent, but I go up there and I tell my jokes as best as I can, because That's what's important to me is, you know, I can tell jokes to myself all day, but, you know, it's sharing that experience with other people and giving that gift of, I think it's love, really. I mean, not to get too philosophical, but I think any comedian who's doing it because they care about it is doing it because they love what they do and they want to empower other people to be their best selves that they possibly can be. So
Wonderful. I know there are a lot of questions, but we're going to take a short break, and we are going to go to entertainment news. So unfortunately today, I don't think we're going to have the global news. I would like us to get as much information as we can. I think we are going to have a part 2 with Kelsey, and I know he has an upcoming event which we're going to talk about before we end the show. But right now, I just want us to go to the entertainment news, and then we come back. We talk some more with Kelsey. If you're watching at home, you have a question, you have a comment, please drop it below, and we'll make sure that we share that comment with our special guest for today. This is the Global Sunday Show with Lungani Lungani, aka Umfana Gashokolate. We'll be right back. Cheers.
Diverse Global Studios, Africa #1.
Hello everyone, I'm Mattia and welcome back to yet another weekly update of pop culture and entertainment industry. This week we are starting with palace drama. Prince Harry was furious at King Charles III after he decided to execute Meghan Markle from the royal family payroll. The decision was made soon after the Duke of Sussex revealed his plans to marry the American actress. In royal correspondent Robert Jobinson's new book, Our King, he described the interaction between Duke, his brother, Prince William, and their father. "Are you sure, Harold?" the Prince of Wales asked his brother. When the Duke made it clear he was absolutely sure, the future king chimed in and said that he couldn't afford to pay her as a member of the royal family. And now that Charles became a king, everyone is waiting to see will he or will he not continue with his decision. Taylor Swift and Joe Alwyn have broken up after 6 years of dating. The split news comes as Swift is traveling the country for the whole sold-out Eras tour, at which the actor hasn't been spotted. Over the years, the famously private couple kept their cards close to the chest, with the English actor and Grammy winner deflecting about engagement rumors. This breakup for some might sound like a sad thing, but for all Taylor Swift fans, we know that there is a new album coming. She's hung up. Madonna is looking to do whatever it takes to get her natural appearance back, ahead of her highly anticipated world tour. The so-called Queen of Pop faced endless criticism following her brief appearance at the Grammys in February, where she modeled a striking new look on stage. After clapping back at haters following a slew of plastic surgery rumors, Madonna was actually deeply affected by the comments made by the naysayers and is looking to switch up her look again. Despite what people think, the criticism over her drastically different appearance does affect her. The insider said that the Like a Prayer hitmaker is undergoing procedures that will restore her natural features. She sees and hears what people say about her, and for the tour, she wants to look more like herself again for her fans. Happy Easter, everyone. Today, on April 9th, world celebrates Christian holiday that celebrates the belief in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. In the New Testament of the Bible, the event is said to have occurred 3 days after Jesus was crucified by Romans. A few days later, April 14th, world will celebrate International Dolphin Day. On this day, we celebrate dolphins, of course, one of the most intelligent and friendly mammals in the world. Dolphins are mammals that belong to the same family as whales and porpoises. There have been many representations of dolphins in popular culture throughout the books and films. Most of these popular representations are accurate. Dolphins are extremely social and friendly beings. They love company and have an acute sense of hearing. Yes, they can hear many more frequencies than adult human. Dolphins can be found in many parts of the world, although they prefer shallow waters. That's all from Entertainment News for this week. My name is Mattia, and if you're in need of weekly tea, make sure to tune in next Sunday. Cheers.
Diverse Global Studios, Africa #1.
Go. Missed. You don't want to know. But aka umfana ka chocolate. You don't want to know what happened. I put Mr. Rusangwa on spot. I said, Mr. Rusangwa, do you want to welcome us back? And he was like, I hope you do not hate me for that.
No, I love you.
Okay, can you welcome us back?
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Welcome back in part 2. Let's go on. I was laughing for the entertainment news. I was just laughing because something also happened similarly happened to Africa, to Kenya, Nairobi. You know that it's Easter Day, and someone called himself Jesus in Nairobi, Kenya, and he has a church. So people. People waiting for him. They waited for him. Say, let's wait for the Easter Day. So this Friday, people came and want to crucify him. So he ran to the court and say, people want to crucify me. They say, why? What have you done? They say, because I told my Savior I'm Jesus. I say, what's? So I mean, many people on Twitter was saying, so what's wrong? It's your mission. If you are Jesus, it's your mission. Just get ready. So now So now the justice is following up. Okay, thank you for the guest. It's really a special day. I have a good question also for you. As you know, when we are doing things, we need to make it formal. It's good to make things formal, because if you make it formal, people will respect it and will make it at the next level, and it's recognized formally. So my question is, do you think art is nowadays considered as a serious work? Is it a professional work now? So what are your recommendations towards those who don't consider it as serious work? Because I know they are.
Yeah, there definitely are. There are detractors, for sure. I think it just comes down to a question of individually what you're looking for in your life. I've definitely, money has always been an issue, just in the sense of genuine survival and paying bills, putting food on the table, so we all have to work. I've worked many different jobs. I started growing up, my dad is a chef, and so I started growing up working in restaurants around town in Prescott. But I've done a lot of different stuff, and a lot of those jobs were very difficult, very labor intensive. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum, I think. And for most of my life up until recently, I've been working a full-time job to pursue my artistic career, So I think most artists have really experienced that. It's unfortunate, I think, that due to people's circumstances, sometimes they don't have, I didn't necessarily have a lot. My parents were always very supportive, and my family, God bless them, have always been super supportive of me and my community and all of that. But it's unfortunate that we put so much of an emphasis on getting a degree, getting a good job so you can make a lot of money. I remember in high school we had people come in and they would say that they had that list, and it would say, here's how much money you'll make if you get this degree. And it was all broken down systematically, like, this is what you need to do to be a professional in society. And I think I always kind of rejected that, to be honest with you. And it's been a difficult road, but I think that for me personally, in no way is there a separation between professionalism and artistic creation. I think they go hand in hand, and I'm so very thankful and fortunate to be able to be doing this and putting this show on in my hometown at this, amazing venue. And so I think if I had any advice, I'd have to say, to me, the only pursuit worth going for is the one that it's not about money or success or fame or celebrity. It's just about joy and happiness to me. And every time, even if it's a bad show, every time I get on stage and do stand up, it's a profoundly fulfilling experience for me. So I can't think of any, professional or not, that's how I want to spend my time and live my life. So to me, I'm a professional in what I do, 100%. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, you mentioned something about creating an event here locally. How about we touch on that before we close the show? But before we go to that, we do just want to acknowledge someone who's watching, and we shared a comment with us. I think Mattia wants to take one person, and then we can proceed and the show. Mattia, go for it, sir.
So I would like to highlight Ray Williams. She wrote with capital letters part 2. So there you go, your fans are coming.
Thanks, Ray.
And then
Rachel's one of my very good friends. She's also a very talented artist. She does collage and visual art and painting, and she sells her art at kind of like at the night market. She makes handmade art that she sells at vendor shows, and she's been a very good friend to me and she's supported me my whole career really, and so that's awesome. Thanks Ray, I love you.
Absolutely. And then she continued and said
Oh,
something.
yeah. She also said, "You all are great. Thank you for giving me something amazing to listen to today."
Whoa.
You're welcome, Ray.
Wonderful.
Happy Easter.
Wonderful. Let's talk about the event, the upcoming event in April here in Prescott. Do you want to tell us more about that event and maybe the location where people can, come and what to expect?
Yeah, definitely. So this is my first stand-up comedy show that I'm executive producing here in Prescott. Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations.
This is I really appreciate that. Like I said, I've performed at larger mainstream clubs. I thought about moving to LA or New York and stuff, but I recently had some really great opportunities here in Prescott, in my hometown. And so I started building this show in about February. Everything's come together really well. So the show is Comedy at the Federal, and it's located at the Federal, which is Prescott's newest event and entertainment venue. That's actually located in the post office building in downtown Prescott. It's a historic building. It was recently renovated. So the stand-up comedy show, Lungani's performed there. He knows how great the venue is. The comedy show is going to be they renovated the grand courtroom that used to be the old courthouse. So I'm going to be telling jokes where the judge used to give out his sentences. So I'm pretty excited about that concept. It's Comedy at the Federal. It's coming up here in almost 2 weeks. It's going to be Friday, April 21st. The doors are at 7 p.m. and the show should start around 7:45, 8-ish. Let's see. My company that is putting on the show is Granite City Comedy. So any information you might have about this show coming up or future shows or what I'm doing as a local comedian, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Granite City Comedy. And that Granite City actually is one of the original proposed names for Prescott before they named it Prescott. So that's where that comes from. I like to think of Prescott as Granite City myself. That's at the Federal again, April 21st, 7 p.m. The Federal is at 101 West Goodwin Street in Prescott, right downtown. And I have pre-sale tickets available. I'm selling tickets really fast. We still have some available, but get your tickets right away. So, and you can get pre-sale tickets are $15 on Eventbrite, and you can find that at granitecitycomedy.eventbrite.com. And if you have any questions or anything like that, again, social media at Blagzar or at Granite City Comedy, and you can email me as well at granitecitycomedy@gmail.com. So sorry that was a mouthful, but I think I touched all the bases there.
Yeah. Baca keluar mana baca tengah macam lungan Kuala Lumpur ke panang chocolate. We are going to be posting more information about the event. If you want to find out more, do follow the page on Facebook and Instagram as well. That's because that's where we can be able to post photos and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I think we have come to the end of the show. And I'm gonna give everybody 60 seconds to say their last words. So we're gonna start with Mr. David Pike. We're gonna go to Mr. Daniel. We're gonna go to Mr. Rusangwa. We're gonna go to each and every time we get to this part. I always laugh because Matia always says, "I don't want to talk after Mr. Laden."
True.
So I'll make sure you talk before Mr. Laden. So it's gonna be Matia, Mr. Laden, and then of course our special guest for today? What are your last words for today? And please, when you say your last words for today, for a person who's watching at home, could be a young person, older person, a person who wants to achieve the stuff that you have achieved in life, just inspirational words. So I'm gonna start with Mr. Pike. What are your last words, Mr. Pike?
Such is life. Those in the know. That was Ned Kellyism. He was about to be hanged in Melbourne. A real pleasure to be in situ in Prescott. Real pleasure to meet you, Kesley. I always say come to Australia because we need a laugh down there as well. We won't have to do too much, and I'm sure there's plenty of homework for us.
I'd love to someday.
Yeah, I've got to get the hang of the American humour. I'll probably laugh, probably the last person, but no, I'll pick it up. But I like, the only point I wanted to make, I find myself laughing, and I think that's one of the tricks of the comedic craft, is that people laugh heartily when there's there's actually truth that you're spilling out. So it might be about a political statement or a politician, and you say something that nobody can say. But like in the medieval times, the court jester can dance around it and say, you look funny in fat today. The other guy goes,
that's how it used to go down.
He's off with his head. So because it's the truth, because it's the taboo, we can't say it, but you guys say it. So thanks for bringing that into the planet, and a bit of reality check and for mental health. There you go.
Appreciate it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Daniel, you are next.
I guess the only thing I have to add is that that humor is something that makes life enjoyable even when it's otherwise not. And people need to, if you don't have a sense of humor, if you find yourself being offended when people are telling jokes, maybe work on seeing things from the funny side of it, even if it's dark humor, so that you're not, so that you just, it lifts your spirits. It makes life better. If the arts do that on their own, but comedy is a special thing where no matter what is going on in life, if you can find the humor in it, if you can enjoy other people who have found the humor in it, it makes life just so much better.
Well said.
Wise words there from our director. And next we have Mr. Rusangwa.
Okay, my last word is the smile enriches someone who receives it without impoverish the one who gives it. So I would encourage everyone to try to provide joy to someone else. As we see, Kelsey is a joy provider. So you cannot find joy in Walmart or Costco, but you see in the show, then come and you will find what you need. So I encourage everyone to make your neighbor smile. Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. Wow. Wonderful. And next we have Mattia.
Yay. I would like just to say, stop hating other people, especially today online where everything is online. If you don't like somebody's joke online, don't hate it. There is 10,000 other jokes you might hate. You might like one of them. Hate one of them. You might like one of them, and if you don't, then maybe it's not the joke that is the problem. But yeah, as our guest said, humor as well as art is really subjective. So if you don't like it, scroll.
Move on.
Yeah.
Nice. And Mr. Laden, you are up next.
Okay. Thank you, Kelsey, for what you do and what you do for us. To our supporters out there, if you remember a couple of months ago, I talked about a fundraiser. We had a young choreographer from Russia who was trying to flee the country. And now, instead of your funds, we successfully raised the money to get the paperwork to get him out. We need your prayers. He was in contact with me all the way till he arrived at the airport in Moscow on Wednesday. And he has not been heard from since. He was not on the plane he was scheduled to fly on. We do not know what happened. We don't know if he's been detained. We don't know if he has been sent to be in the army to be cannon fodder. We don't know if they executed him on the spot. So please, he's not able to get to a comedy club. He's not able to get to a stand-up mic. Please say a prayer for him, for all refugees. And as today the Pope of the Catholic Church called for peace and particularly for prayers for refugees worldwide, I just want to add that, and I am sorry to put that as a last note on this incredible happy show, but this kind of situation is why comedy is so necessary. So thank you, Kelsey, for what you do, and I apologize to everybody for ending on a low note, but I just wanted the people out there who've been supporting this mission to get this young man free. I just wanted to let people know what was going on, and please include him in your prayers. Thank you.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Laden, for sharing that. Please send your prayers at home. And lastly, our special guest for today, Kesley, what are your last words for a person who's watching at home, for a person who's lost, for a person who tried comedy, it didn't work out, and right here they're looking at you, they're watching you on screen, and you are saying something to them. What are your last words, sir? Please go for it.
Perseverance. Keep on trying and keep on trying. Whatever you want to do in life, whether it's comedy, whether it's be a Shakespearean actor, whether it's helping refugees, anything that you care deeply about and you're passionate about, and to be lucky enough that comedy is the thing that gives me purpose in life and brings me joy. And I really appreciate you all having me, and it's been an awesome experience. Thank you so much for the time and the conversation and the exposure. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Global Sunday Show. Thank you so much, Kelsey, for being here with us, spending time, sitting down here, talking to the people and sharing your experience. We really, really appreciate you. We honor you while you're still alive, and we wish you nothing but the best. And we are going to be in your show in a couple of weeks to come, and we are going to be having you here before your show so you can say more about the show, where people can get the tickets and the directions. Thank you so much, and everybody say bye-bye to everyone who's watching it.
Keep laughing.
Same time, same place next week. Real talk, real people.
Real time.
That's what I'm talking about. Bye-bye.
Wana Yesu niye dawa ya watching Sunday Global Sunday with Lungari Global Sunday with Lungari. Sarianyuki, Yasuri kama Sarianyuki, Honja sikia Chamsana, Wana Yesu niye Sarianyuki, Dawayaroho, Yasuri kama Dawayaroho, Honja sikia Chamsana. Wana Yesu niye dawa yaro. Yeah, keep watching Sunday Global Sunday with Lungari Global Sunday with Lungari.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
I like that one.
Myself acting and it is more strength and more effort.
More TV shows.
The African people.
But yeah, we are self-made hustlers.
The sound of a 19-year-old kid.
Around the world.
It's London.
Music against violence.
Jazz, pop. There's a queen in every woman. That was such a powerful message.